Have you ever felt like you're putting in way too much effort on dating apps, cold approaches, or nights out, only to attract women you're not even that into? Or worse, none at all? Or maybe you got your life together. You're successful, you're confident, and your game is solid, but the women you really want just aren't showing up in your world, no matter how many swipes or sets you go through. Well, if that's you, you'll want to tune in because we're talking about a strategy that's quietly outperforming everything else right now when it comes to dating beautiful women. I'm joined by Brian Marquesano, and we're diving deep into how to use Instagram ads. Yes, actual paid ads to meet women and build a social circle filled with the kind of girls you actually want in your life. If you're skeptical, good, you should be. But once you understand how this works, it'll change how you think about dating forever. This isn't for guys who are still struggling to get dates or build basic confidence. This is for intermediate or advanced guys who already have some results and now want to leverage his status, lifestyle, and digital presence to the absolute fullest. You're listening to the Inner Confidence Podcast. My name is Robbie Kramer. I've been a coach since 2007, and I've helped countless men rapidly achieve all of their social and dating goals. My mission is simple: to help you position yourself to meet stunning women, make awesome friends, en route to becoming the most confident and attractive version you can possibly be. I'm absolutely obsessed with giving you the most leveraged ways possible to win the game, so stick around, let's go. So yeah, man, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, man. Yeah, glad that we could do it again.
Yeah, so we did the other one, I feel like it was about a year ago or so. And we were talking about building a social circle, and you're one of the few guys who kind of came on the scene, I guess you could say, in the, I don't even know if you want to call it dating, but the men's personal growth arena. And I originally saw, I think, an Instagram ad from you advertising a product that you had, New City Mastery, on effectively like, what do you do if you're a guy in a new city building a new social circle? And I reviewed that, and it was awesome, very similar to a lot of the core principles that, you know, I talk about a lot on this show. And so we did that podcast, and now I'm really excited to have you back on because you're working on some very cool cutting edge stuff in terms of helping guys get very high quality leads. And, you know, you have a totally different offer, and a lot of the guys in my community have been, you know, taking you up on that offer and finding it to be very helpful. So I wanted to have you on to chat about all of that, basically.
Yeah, man. Yeah, let's dive into it.
So what did you kind of notice out there in terms of like the problem that guys are facing that sort of led you to create this new offer, and then obviously describe the offer too for us?
Yeah, for sure. So I was explaining this to a client the other day. When I first got into doing one-to-one calls, I just started to notice I was looking for trends, and I was looking for patterns, and I was looking for points of leverage. The biggest issue that I found was that guys needed a way to go from signing up and talking with me to receiving a result as quickly as possible. And it was really just like the iterations of all these different calls that allowed me to kind of figure out those different points of leverage. And that's how I got to where I'm at now, where essentially, you know, after a couple of years, we figured out what the big guns really are. So now that I've had a chance to figure out what the big guns are, I've been able to then, you know, guinea pig with a ton of different clients and get a bunch of data. So it's kind of almost been me coaching myself through the process of coaching other people, like a program that's programming itself. Mm-hmm. Just almost like this feedback loop that happens cyclically. And it's all about the Instagram ads. And so I could get into, like, we can go into a lot of different directions about like why Instagram ads, how Instagram ads, you know, and even just like the entire backdrop of like the dating space in general. So, I mean, you tell me, man, like, where do you kind of want to guide the conversation? Because there's so much to say about just the dating space in general before I dive into the whole Instagram ads piece, because on the outside, like if this is totally new to you, it might seem crazy. Like it might seem insane. It might even seem like gimmicky, or it might seem like a lot of just mumbo jumbo. But there's like a deeper reason why all of this stuff is going on, in my belief. And I want to maybe share some of that. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think we need to talk about the current state of like dating apps and why we're even having this conversation about Instagram ads. Because you're right. Like a random guy, I would say the majority of my listeners are probably, if they've listened to any of my shows before, they understand how broken dating apps are. And that a new way is very necessary. But if a guy's tuning in for the first time, right, and he's just kind of coming to the realization, like maybe he's newly single or out of a divorce or whatever, and he's like, okay, I've been on the dating apps for a few months and I'm just getting nothing very interesting, and then the ones that are interested seem interested flake, or
Yeah.
they're not interested in me. So, and I know you can speak to this a lot. Like, what have you sort of seen? What has shifted in the dating market that has led us down this path?
Yeah. So me as a new coach and like coming in with new ideas and innovations, I don't think is born out of me like just having some like natural like talent or gift. I think it's more a function of like the dating space needs something new. It was born more out of like necessity.
Yeah.
And so here's what I see going on. And I want to bring this up because I feel like if guys aren't like seeing this and paying attention to this, it's going to be very detrimental for them moving forward in the future. So I was actually looking at some stats, and I'll preface this by saying that as a single guy myself, I'm 31 going on 32 pretty soon here in August. I mean, the dating market is all out warfare, man. Like the competition is legitimately a battlefield.
Yeah.
And it's because, dating has become digitalized and globalized. And that really is creating this great divide that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I was looking at some stats. So
Yeah, it's
Gen
like
X,
the real quick that it 10 years ago when I was your age, because I just turned 43, I guess 12
yeah,
years ago. Tinder had just come out,
yeah,
and your competition was not every guy on planet Earth. It was the guy, in your university, or the guy in your city, or maybe just the guy that went to your little bar in your neighborhood, right?
yeah.
And in the last 10 years, literally your competition is Leonardo DiCaprio or
Mhm.
whatever celebrity. Like, girls have access with the press of a button on Instagram to whoever they want. So it's
Yep.
radically changed.
It's changing, yeah, and you
Yeah.
can see it in the data. You can see it in the numbers. So there's Gen X, millennials, and then Gen Z.
Hmm.
So if you just chat GPT this, like for anybody that doesn't believe me, just look it up yourself. So if you just ask it what the average age for first childbirth is for these three generations, Gen X was 25 years old. Millennials was 28 years old, and then Gen Z is projected at 30 years old. So you can see that like this is getting later on. It's
Yeah.
like getting delayed.
Right.
And then the same thing with first marriages. So what do you think like the average age for first marriage on Gen X is? Because are you Gen X?
I'm millennial.
Okay. All right.
So
So what do you think the average age for Gen X is for first marriage?
first marriage, well, if average kids are 25, I would say first marriage has got to be like 23.
Okay. Yeah. So it's about it says the same. So average for Gen X is 25.
Okay.
Then what do you think for millennials?
Probably bump back 5 years, 30.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it's right at about 28 to 30.
Okay.
And then for Gen Z it's 32 plus, projected to be 32 plus.
Right.
So what's happening is marriages are happening later, kids are happening later, and the reason being is because everybody is maximizing now. Right? Like everybody is delaying gratification and holding out for their perfect 10 because everybody in the dating space in the dating marketplace now is suffering from the paradox of choice.
Right.
Like there's just too many options. There's so many options that it makes it impossible to choose. Therefore, everybody's delaying this gratification, waiting for longer and longer. And the reason being is because there's this divide that's happening. So now, women are pickier, and then there's not enough guys to keep up with that demand. And then for the guys that can keep up with the demand, they have way too many. So it's just becoming this thing where
Yeah.
the issue is just guys aren't keeping up with getting better.
Or the guys who are getting better are getting so good that why would they choose one girl? Which
Exactly.
is what I did in my 30s. I realized in my like mid 30s, like, holy shit, I can have the lifestyle that was only afforded to like kings. Like I remember watching the Hugh Hefner documentary, The American Playboy.
Yeah.
I think I was 35, and I'm like, I'm like 80% of the way there. So I
Yeah.
spent the next 2 years getting pretty much 100% of the way there. I'm like, if I can do it, a guy who's like, I don't know, what am I out of 10? A 7? right? Like I'm not, rich. I'm not famous. I'm just a normal average dude who like learned good social skills
Yeah.
and was very strategic about how I built a social circle and how I interacted with women and other guys. If I could live a lifestyle that Hugh Hefner is living, then like
Yeah.
pretty much anyone could if they're willing to put in the work. And it made it kind of effectively like I am now also kind of out of the dating market for most girls, right? Because it's like if they want, like if the highest value guys have now access to all of the girls, and the guys at the bottom have access to almost no one. So it's like the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and the
Yeah.
guys at the very top are, you know, feasting on everything while the guys, in the middle get nothing. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's affecting the women as well. So it's a problem for both sexes.
Hmm.
And I think you hit the nail on the head because my experience was the same. I still to this day tell everybody I'm literally the most normal dude that you've ever met, but I applied myself
Right.
the same way that you just described. Like all that you really did was just apply yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's important to have this conversation is if you're a guy and you're struggling with dating, all you got to do is take a look at what's going on and see the issue here. And, the fact of the matter is that, yeah, I mean, men just simply aren't improving at a rate that's going to allow them to compete in the ever more competitive marketplace. And that's putting women out of options as well.
Right.
So now then it kind of becomes like,
But the
the reason I,
illusion, sorry to cut you off, the illusion is that there's infinite options. So everyone's going to keep holding out,
right.
right? Because you're playing, you're swiping and you're on you're on that roulette wheel. And even though the option, that's where you get the whole female delusional calculator and all that stuff. It's right. They
Yep.
think they've got infinite options, but in reality, they're all going after like the same very tiny pool of men, while the other
Yeah.
guys are basically saying like, oh, it's too hard to compete, or I'm not good looking enough, or I'm not rich enough, and having all these excuses why they can't win, when in reality they can. They just don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And honestly, it's affecting me too. Like I have this problem. Like all I have to do is look at my own life and it's right there in front of me as well. Like I know that my stock is rising. So that's the reason that I'm fitting into these statistics. I'm unmarried. I haven't had my first child and I'm hitting 32. And if my stock is going up, then why sell?
Yeah.
So that's affecting me because I'm holding out for this perfect 10 as well. And that affects relationships that I have with perfectly good women that are in my life right now.
Totally.
So I can see it for myself too, where it's like, the time is the multiplier. So if you believe your stock is going up, then you're just going to hold off forever. And so that's why you see it being pushed back later and later and later. And time is also a multiplier downwards too. So if you're not improving over the next few years, then the time frame is only just bringing you down further because, good habits compound this way over time and then bad habits compound this way over time.
Right.
So I think that's where it becomes really relevant, where you and I actually have legitimate business models that actually exist with which when I talk to people, they can't believe it because they're like, what do you even do? Like, how, like, what the fuck? What are you?
Oh, it's so annoying. I don't know if you feel like this, but when people ask me what do I do, it's almost like I just want to say like I do internet marketing, right? It's like I don't want to have the conversation with most people because they don't understand the space, especially if I'm golfing and it's with some dude who's whatever in his 60s. Like, just no point to have the conversation, because if I do, it's like, what? That's even a thing? Like you're a dating coach? What? Like Hitch?
Right.
And it's like, oh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, some people, yeah, it's easier to just tell them that I just tell people I'm an online business owner. Then they're like, what kind? I just say life coaching. Um, but yeah, like that, the thing is like guys need to improve. So that's where we come in because now we can have this huge conversation about if you're a guy that's socially aware, you understand what's happening here in the dating marketplace, you see the trends, you see what's coming, you see the future, you understand it's only going to get more, extreme with the rise of AI and all this different stuff. Like it's getting crazy. Then there's all kinds of different ways that you can improve. And that's what we do. So that's where you and I can have conversations back and forth about how we help people and what we believe and like ways that guys can improve and then very quickly because you have got different strategies than I do. But overall, like the reason that this collab is always so good is because I think the overarching premise of what you believe and what I believe is like, just increasing, all aspects, your value as a whole, but specifically like your social value.
Yeah. Real quick, if you're a divorced guy trying to figure out modern dating, I put together something special for you. It's called the Social Funnel Method, and it's a 5-day free email course I made just for guys like you. Guys who want to date high-quality women and build a lifestyle that actually feels good again. You'll learn exactly what works today, not 10 years ago, and how to stand out in a world of dating apps, ghosting, and Instagram. Head over to innerconfidence.com/start to get step 1 sent straight to your inbox. It's totally free. Go do it now, and let's rebuild your dating life in the right way. I kind of actually want to shoot the shit with you before we dive into the nitty gritty on the sort of how-to and the applicable IG stuff. Where do you think the world is headed in terms of AI, robot girlfriends? I interviewed a guy recently who he owns the company that creates robotics that, are like sex robots, basically.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're only a few years away from having a, fully sex robot girlfriend who can do everything that a normal girlfriend can do. She's just a lot heavier because we got to fit the computer into something, right? But, do you think the way I see that going, it's kind of like the Americanization of, I guess, like food over the last, whatever, 10, 20 years, maybe 30 years, where like, everybody got fat in the US because they ate junk food, because it seems like real food. It's easy to get. It's cheap. Tastes good. And then the long-term effect is everyone's really unhealthy, and people are getting knee replacements and dying of diabetes and all that shit. So I see when that becomes available, guys will just like opt out of the dating market. Like, why would I go after a real girl? I can just get all my needs met by a robot. But then ultimately feeling very depressed, disconnected, suicidal. That would be my guess. But obviously this is,
I mean, dude, I think they will. I think they definitely will. And it's definitely going to be a big industry for sure. I mean, I see it playing out the same way that other things in the past have played out. So, I mean, at some point there was like a revolution with, maybe like sex toys or whatever, the auto blowjob 5,000 thing. I'm not afraid to admit that I purchased one at one time purely out of curiosity, just to see how well it worked and like what the fuck it did. You know what I mean? But if you're a normal guy and your hardwiring is natural and you don't have some type of mental disability or something, you're going to realize very quickly that there's just there's a distinct innate difference with real relationships. It's just not the same. I mean, even prostitution is a thing, right? Like you can go get a hooker, but if you've ever been to the red light district, then you understand that you're essentially having sex with your money, and it feels that way.
Right. It's an emptiness afterwards that you feel.
Yeah, exactly. No. Yeah, exactly. So there's never going to be a replacement. I mean, I think it's only just going to be, further monetization and distraction. And it is just going to be compelling. Like you said, it's going to be compelling just the same way that McDonald's would be. And for the guys that, cannot overcome their impulses and can't see through to, the heart of what they need to do. I mean, it's going to be very sad and a very painful experience for them, man. Like it's just the reality. Like when presented with the easy way out or with an alternate option, if you're the type of guy that goes that route, then you're going to have a very unfulfilled life, and you're like Mystery would say, like your genetics will become extinct, essentially.
Right. And I think that's the thing that will drive people ultimately away, is there is a huge desire or need or whatever, just an instinct to have kids, right?
Yeah.
And keep your bloodline alive. So I think people will, like you said, take the easy way out at first because it's easy, and everyone, is inherently lazy. Humans are inherently not wanting to do hard work. And it's only through doing a lot of hard work that you effectively kind of become immune to it. And you're just like, oh, I feel better when I do hard work, so I'm going to keep doing hard work. But I think it takes a guy sometimes a while to arrive at that place. It took me a while. I was a lazy motherfucker, like all through my 20s. Like I just avoided all hard work altogether. Like I did the bare minimum to get by. But then at a certain point, I realized, like, okay, this is actually negatively affecting my ability to get women. And that was the catalyst to really like get me over the mediocrity edge. But
I mean, that's a beautiful question, because I love this topic. It brings up the subject of hard work and discipline. There's a stat that says, the average millionaire reached millionaire status in 1992 at 57 years old. And then in 2022, it was 61 years old. So that just shows you that over time, men are becoming lazier. They're
Yeah.
not working as hard. That's a problem.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting to see where it'll go. So,
Yep.
all right.
Yeah.
So let's kind of dive in. So we've kind of explained like why online dating is practically broken at this point. I've got about 35 guys I'm working with extremely closely, speaking to them every day within the community. And there's like 2 of them using online dating. And it's not because they haven't tried to optimize online dating. They've all done everything they can. The best photos, the best bios, all the best everything. And the only guys that are succeeding are using Raya Seeking, which is seeking arrangements. Yep. Those are not traditional dating sites, right? They're very much an emphasis on sugar or, it's very hard to get into Raya. You have to be approved and you effectively need a killer Instagram to get approved. Or I think maybe one guy does okay on the league, but some of these guys are local US, some are international. But as a whole, I even have clients who are like 10 out of 10 on the look scale. Like we call one guy Prince Charming. 6-pack, jacked, 6'2", great job living in the Bay Area. And he can't get dates using Hinge, Bumble, Tinder. I mean, he can get dates, but the girls are 6s at best. He's just not interested.
That's just it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say something on that. So I think that we're in an age now where we're past the age of optimizing and we're now in the age of maximizing. So now I'll reference those numbers a million times. Like the reason everything is delayed is because everybody's holding off and everybody is maximizing. So as a guy that I still mess around on dating apps myself, like even just for experimentation purposes.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of matches and I have a lot of conversations. I even get a lot of numbers. I don't have a lot of dates from that. And I don't have a lot of like quality relationships from it. So it's not even that dating apps aren't working. Like for most guys, they're not, but let's just say that they are.
Yeah.
It's the level to which they're working at that's not sufficient for men because they're still exposed to all of these other people that are doing better than them, and you can see it, and it's on the internet. So it's not that the 8 out of 10 that they match with on the dating app or even Raya isn't good enough. It's that they're still wondering why they can't get the 10 out of 10. Mm-hmm. It's like they want the maximum. Like that's what I'm seeing is like, it's just that nothing's good enough. It's not even that dating apps aren't working. Maybe it's working a little bit, but it's just not enough. That's the problem. So everybody's in like maximization. Like optimization was cool like a year ago. Now we're just like, how do we make it like maximize? Because everybody's got FOMO.
Yeah. No, I mean I was doing that right before I met my wife in a social circle context, right? It was like no girl was good enough, and my standards just kept going up and up and up and up.
And even the women, I want to call out the women on this one too. Women are doing the exact same thing because look, like my dating life is fucking great, but like I'll be the first one to tell you that I still get flaked on to this day. I never get stood up, but I mean, it's a battlefield. Like it's all out fucking warfare, man. Yeah. And here's what I notice is like, okay, I'm a dude that is pretty well above average. Like, look, I'm 5'11". I'm not the tallest guy in the world, but I'm not short. I'm pretty good looking. I have a business that's super successful. I've got 30K on Instagram, and still I'm like, why can't, where's like my perfect 10 out of 10 at? It's like the perfect 10 out of 10s are all following around guys like disco lines, like in groups of them, like 10 or 15. So it's like,
well, you're in America. That's another hard part.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other can of worms. But like in the US, it's so competitive. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. Women are doing it too. Like guys are not satisfied. Women aren't satisfied either. Like, and it's all just this whole disparaging thing about like everybody, like the women are holding out for their Kevin Durant and the guys are holding out for Megan Fox. Like that's why they're not happy with the dating apps, because dating apps could probably get the guy in question perfectly fine, like perfectly quality relationships. Just the fact that he's like not down for that because he's still looking for the way to get to the next level. Right. And that's why it's going to take him another year or 2 years or the next coach or the next program or whatever to figure it out, is because just people aren't satisfied. So it's just, all maximization now. So, then it kind of becomes like this whole existential crisis thing. And I don't know if you or I have the answer for that. I know that I don't. I just know that in general, men need to become better and improve themselves, and I can tell you how to do that.
I
Yeah.
might have a little answer because I went through the existential crisis myself, right? Having a ridiculous amount of optionality, yet still feeling that I could still do better. And also having the biological clock starting to tick in my late 30s of like, well, I do want kids and I do want a family. And
Yeah.
I don't want to be like the super old dad. And at a certain point, the way that I dealt with that was I effectively just like gorged myself at the buffet of women and adventure and experiences. And Dan Bilzerian said the same thing on his interview that like eventually if you have like a ridiculous need for, call it validation or call it sexual adventure, whatever you want to call it, right? At a certain point, it will become normal, just like anything. The marginal gain associated with the next thing will be less and less and less. And that's what I experienced. Just like every new conquest was like not quite as cool as the last one. And eventually I was like, okay, I just kind of feel like I won this game. I don't really need to play it anymore. And then that's when my wife showed up, and it was a great fit because she was unlike most of the other girls who were very much still interested in optimization and playing the game and getting, the best Uber of the best and not happy with anything. And she was just like, you're awesome. Let's have a family. I'm like, perfect. You're trustable and you're all the things I'm looking for. So, and I've heard that a lot from guys too. Like once they get to a certain level, after a while, it just becomes not that fun to play. And then if they find somebody that they really click with, it's worth getting out of the game. So, and I've been married now for almost 3 years, together with her for almost 5. And like that desire I used to have, like see a hot girl or like this opportunity, like that has basically gone down to almost nothing. So I'm just much more content and happy with not having to care about that.
Yeah. So do you believe that the solution there, or the takeaway, is essentially that guys should just really aim to get to that point as quickly as possible?
Yeah.
Like maybe even ideally earlier on, or what do you think about timing wise for you? Because you said about 38, right?
Yeah. I mean, I wasted so many years in relationships that I deep down knew I shouldn't have been in.
Yeah.
Right. I probably could have gotten there by maybe, I don't know, 33, 34, 35. But there's also a maturity I feel like you have to get to with age as well. But if I was coaching somebody, like, I mean, I feel like you could get there very quickly. You could get there and I don't know, you might even be very close to being there now. But it's like, I just found that when you're in a relationship, and mine weren't necessarily even monogamous relationships. I was in a 3-year open relationship with a really hot girl. We were having threesomes all the time and going to sex parties and you name it, what have you, trying all the crazy stuff. But I knew deep down I wasn't going to be with her forever. It was more of like, if I really look in the mirror, I was like, okay, yeah, I was having fun and getting laid and doing all the things, but like I would have been moving faster if I was purely single and building my network and building myself into what I thought I was a 10, right? I had to realize that, okay, Robbie, you're effectively a 10, right? You've optimized as much as you possibly can. And I was happy with where I had gotten. So
yeah. So here's another question for you, because this is a question that I have, and this is probably a question that other guys have, and it's kind of like a chicken or the egg type of question. So for me, I feel like and I'm close, like you said, but I'll get to a point in my life where I'm ready to make a phase change into like building and grinding mode, and then into family and husband mode, right? Like I feel like there'll come a point where I do want to do that. That is a desire that I have. I've got parents that are getting older, grandchildren. That's all necessary. Like I need all of that at some point.
Right.
Do you think that time comes when a man just naturally becomes ready at a certain point internally first? Or is it that somebody comes along and then ships him internally, like from the outside in? Is it an inside out thing or is it an outside in thing?
Good question. I think it could be either, actually. I think investment levels are the most important things in relationships, right? If you both feel like you both got a little bit lucky, if she adores you, that's obviously better. Like you want the woman to feel like she got a better deal because they're always a little bit more hypergamous. But if in your mind you think, actually, I got the better deal, but I'm going to let her think she got the better deal, that's kind of like the sweet spot I find. So yeah, I do think, there's that whole saying, when you know, you know. I believe that to be true. And I've heard a lot of guys say that, that are in happy, successful marriages and relationships. So I do think, yeah, if the right girl comes along, but also you have to be at a place where you feel like you're able to attract your highest quality companion. If there's a little piece of you that thinks, if I was in better shape, if I was richer, this or that, I could do better, then you're always going to look at that girl and be like, I still kind of settled given I could have optimized more.
Yeah, for sure. So you say it could be both. Okay.
Yeah. For me, it was kind of like a hybrid. It's like I started to feel like that, and then she also came along. So, yeah.
Well, I'm waiting for that day myself, so we'll see what happens.
And I mean, what you just said was, you're in grind mode, you're building, your empire there, and you're gonna find that like some women all women are kind of effectively like waiting at the finish line to see which winner they're gonna take, right? But some are. And my wife too, when she met me, she saw my potential and she wanted to build it with me. And I saw her desire to do that. And that made me, feel a lot better about her as well. And so when you're young, especially, that works. But when you're like 50 or 60, women aren't really going to see you for any potential. You kind of have to be there already. So you've got that going as well.
Yeah. All right. So for the guys that are aware of this problem or just the space, whatever, they're tuned in, they're tapped in, they want to improve. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I think an interesting subject to discuss is like, okay, practical application. Say you're a guy, you're single, and you're looking to, you've done all the things, like you're doing all of the right things. Maybe you've shifted from being an employee to starting a business. Now you're working out, you've improved your social skills, you're doing well. Maybe you're similar age to me, somewhere around like your 30s. A wife is in the cards, but you'd also be done to like have fun and hook up and stuff like that too. I've thought about this a lot. Like, what's the ideal scenario? Like, what are guys going for? Why are they pissed at dating apps? Why are they, kind of over the cold approach thing? Why is that played out? Why is the space shifting? Why are random weird guys like me popping out of nowhere and, going viral and doing stuff like Instagram ads that's totally off the wall different? And I've thought about it. And I think I have a little bit of a perspective.
Yeah.
So, and I want to hear your take on this. From a guy's perspective, like what's the most ideal scenario when it comes to like dating women? So I saw some videos that reminded me of probably the right answer. Like the best scenario for a guy is to be standing on the street or at a bar and have women approaching you. So if you're like a top 10% guy that's super tall, super good looking, you'll have women that actually just walk up and approach you. That's not the reality for most guys. But I think when it comes to true, genuine burning desire, that is its most raw form, is in person, a woman approaching a man. I've seen that. And I think that's the most ideal way that a man can meet a woman. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I recently came across an Instagram account. I forget, it's like King something. He's
exactly
tall black
that's
dude.
Exactly what I had in mind. Yep.
Yeah. Every girl walks up and she's like, "Are you in the NBA?" And they're just pawing at him, right? Like competing with each other for him. Like they are like, it just makes you think like, wow, these women don't have any approach anxiety. And they're just like, no bullshit, extremely direct. And I've noticed also he tends to get like the really tall girls approaching him as well,
and super good looking girls too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Insanely good looking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would agree. That's probably the most, I guess, raw form of attraction you can experience as a man. I've maybe had that happen to me like twice ever.
Yeah. I don't get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a reality for me. I can say that much, but I think that's the most ideal. I think that as a man, that's the most ideal situation that you can possibly be in.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, given that nobody's getting that, what's the second best scenario? So in my opinion, I'd say the second best scenario is either a girl sliding into your DMs or a girl being introduced to you through a friend. So what do you think like the second best scenario is?
Like, what if you're hosting a party though, and women see you as the highest status guy there, you're the host or one of the highest status guys, and then they're giving you eye contact and like jumping the gun with this? Or because I would see that as the next layer after just walking down the street.
Okay, so you'd say that like a girl giving you choosing signals, like passively or indirectly, is better than a girl like sliding in your DMs or matching you first on a dating app. What do you think about that?
Well, it's in person, so it's more actionable in the moment, which I think is better. But like you have had to already have built a social circle and have very good reading abilities,
Yeah.
and have a very high social IQ and hot women around to pull off what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's the kind of the point that I wanted to make, is that's what I believe too,
Okay.
is that like in my mind, the second best thing, and in my experience, it's introductions. So like
Right.
through a friend, just a quick introduction. That's to me the second best thing from just the girl walking up to you and just saying like opening me, right? Because
Yeah.
that doesn't happen, but I get introductions a lot. That's a function of social circle. I think like, and I'm just thinking in my life, like just the best leads that I've ever had. I think second to that would be like a girl sliding in my DM. Like third to that would be a girl sliding in my DMs, which that happens very rarely.
Right.
I'd say that happens less than I get introductions.
Yeah.
So if you're a guy, you probably want to focus on getting girls to approach you if you can, which is like good luck getting that to work, or getting a lot of introductions, and then maybe choosing signals at a party. Right, that's a good too.
Hmm.
Or maybe getting girls to slide in your DMs. That's not that easy to do unless like there's more context around you. It's not just the photos. It's probably because they heard of me or they saw me at a party or whatever.
Yeah.
And then down at the bottom, and for me, has always been matching on dating apps and then me making cold approaches.
Right.
So I've done cold approaches and I've done a shit ton of them.
Same.
But I mean, honestly, like they've rarely ever really converted for me, like especially the hot ones. And let's
Yeah.
keep quality in mind here. Like let's keep considering every guy, he's listening to this, and in the back of his head, he's thinking about the 9s and the 10s, right?
There was a
So,
very small window when day game worked like gangbusters in New York City. It was right as Tinder was coming out. I was in like the best place, New York City or London, for day game from like 2010 to like 2014, because the dating apps were still relatively new and most guys wouldn't do day game. Everyone did bar game. But still, you couldn't really get an 8, 9, or a 10 from day game, because in the back of her mind, she's like, this motherfucker's approaching girls on the street. He must not be that cool, right?
Right.
So it's just 6s and 7s all day long, build a harem roster, whatever, have a lot of fun. But like, you weren't getting the hottest girls. They were still choosing through the warm introductions like you talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Yeah,
I'm
so
curious for you too, so you have 30,000 Instagram followers. That's, women are going to see that and they're going to be like, wow, this guy's, relatively famous. That's a high number. And I have close to 30,000 on my golf account with my wife, right? And occasionally I'll get some signals from like girls in the DMs or like, showing a level of interest, but that's a joint account with my wife. I'm curious, as a single guy, how often are you getting, the fame sort of girl sliding into your DM or leaving you a comment, liking 7 photos in a row and signaling to you like, I'm interested?
Yeah. Really good question, especially because some of my videos have gone super, super viral, where it's like most people in my city have seen it.
Yeah.
So here's what's happening is it's garnering attention. Okay. That's extremely important. That's where we'll get to like the ads and all this different stuff. It's like, okay, it's getting me attention. That's a huge problem that's being solved for me through going viral. It's not getting me direct attraction. It's getting me on the radar, and it's getting me shit tested. So what happens is like girls at the bars or girls that I've, been introduced to, if they've seen it before they're meeting me, like it's not getting me girls DMing me, oh my God, where are you at? Let me come over. It's none of that stuff.
Right.
There's girls that are seeing it and then they're interacting with me, and they've, seen it prior to seeing me or meeting me, and they're curious about it for obvious reasons. So they will shit test me on it. And because of that, I'm converting that into attraction, but only because I'm super skilled at being able to handle the shit that's coming at me.
Gotcha.
So if I didn't have the skill set of being able to like handle the curveballs that are being thrown my way, like for example, random women walking up to me and saying, you're that Brian guy. And I'm saying, who are you? And they're like, we're from Charlotte. We've seen your stuff. And then they go into this line of questioning that could easily be screwed up.
Yeah.
Right. Like if I wasn't able to handle that, I wouldn't be able to attract them. But because I'm like just completely battle tested, I can convert that into attraction. So
they're testing your frame really hard.
Exactly.
Seeing if you're the man in reality as you appear online. So,
and that's the takeaway from that question is you can get as much attention as possible. You could host the biggest event possible. you can, hack ways with ads or whatever it is to just like get eyeballs. But the status isn't enough. Attention is not enough. When you're face to face, it all comes down to frame. You have to have frame through and through to your core, or else you're completely fucked.
Yeah, it's very well put. Well said. How do you arrive at that frame?
I mean, the same way a bodybuilder arrives to a great physique, just learning about what the right motion is and then doing it a lot and focusing on it. I mean, it's just
Put
a
in the
skill
reps.
set, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something you're born with.
Right.
It's not something that you need to have a above average IQ to cultivate. It's just a matter of, like you said earlier in the call, like just applying yourself, like take initiative, pick up a fucking book, read it.
Right.
Like there's books and there's courses that discuss frame and what it is and, stuff like that. Like it's just application over time.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that battle tested me the most and allowed me to get to a point where my frame was solid, even around the hottest girls, was simply being in the presence of really hot women and getting comfortable with that. Because at first, when you're with a legitimate 8 or a 9, right, there's like, you start to feel things in your body, right? You feel like tics and nervousness, your lip
tension
might start quivering, like, and it's all just an uncomfortable experience that you're not used to. And over more and more time, it just becomes the everyday. And then eventually you're like, oh, whatever. I hang out with these women all the time. Doesn't make me nervous. Their presence doesn't, make me collapse. And that's what I see a lot with guys that try to hack the system by hiring like dating matchmakers.
Yeah, or VAs and all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. They might get set up with a gorgeous girl, but they're going to flunk that date every single time.
Yep. They're going to crumble. They're going to fail. And I mean, I do believe that women are attracted through your words and the way that you make them feel. And that's in your presence, because it doesn't matter what your strategy is, but at some point she ends up back at your place and you two are going to be sitting on the couch and there's no more systems.
Right.
There's no more. Yeah. There's no more coaches. There's no more community. There's no more this or that. It's you, man. And, your identity is either coming through, you either have an attractive identity that comes through authentically or you don't.
Yeah. And so there's no shortcuts to getting there. I guess the only shortcut is putting yourself in that situation as many times as you can. And that's fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or not. And just being a loser and just fail, just give up, right? Like, or not.
A very viable option taken by many, I would say.
Yeah. I want to like the combo we were having about all the different ways men can meet women and the more ideal scenarios and stuff. You talked about parties and getting indicators of interest and being able to like manufacture that through social proof, pre-selection and leader of men and all that different stuff. That's always been what I discovered along my journey is look, thank you, Coach Kyle and all of these guys that are still to this day somehow just like harping on this cold approach thing, but that has its place for a little while. And then there's a better overarching strategy that brings in things like business connections and money-making opportunities and like, God forbid, guys, best friends,
God forbid,
people that you can collaborate with and share real, camaraderie and memories with, but nobody wants to talk about that. The one way that nobody ever thought of is just direct response advertising. Like nobody ever considers like of all the ways to meet women, there's 1,000,001 ways, what got overlooked. And that's what I really realized is like, there's this whole overlooked segment, which is direct advertising, which might sound ridiculous, but like I said, we're bringing out the big guns now because it's gotten to a point where the big guns are required. Like this is becoming what's necessary.
Well, I've always said that if you want to succeed at dating, just go against the herd. Do what everybody else is not doing, right? And it doesn't matter what the thing is. It just matters how many other guys are doing it, right? Because if it's dating apps, everybody's doing it. And that means it's not working for anybody except like the top whatever percentage, right? When day game worked really well, it's because no guys were doing it. Everyone was too scared. You can't talk to a girl during the day. You got to approach her at a bar, right? And
Yeah.
then everyone started doing day game, and now it's even, I think day game is great for building your confidence and getting over your fear of rejection. Helps to build your frame, but it's a very shitty, low ROI way to actually meet women, right? And if you're talking about 8, 9s, and 10s, good luck, right? And there's something to be said about you got to succeed with the 6s and 7s first, fair. But as a strategy and return on investment and time, it's just cold approaching ain't it, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's running Instagram ads, at least not for social stuff, right?
Right.
And that's why it works, because no one's doing it. Simple as that, I think.
Yeah. I mean, and so this is essentially what's going on here. I mean, the reason that it works so well is it's not an exploit of the Instagram ad system, but it's a version of essentially like using it for a purpose that is subverting expectations as pattern interruption.
Mhm.
And then it's very new and it's very novel. And so that's where we're getting like really extremely outsized returns. And it's just very high leverage. And it's just, I don't know, man, this is just the evolution of the game. This is just how the same way we, came from creatures of the depth. Like this is just what's happening with dating.
Yeah.
But, I mean, say you're a guy, you live in a city, you just drop a pin within a 5-mile radius from you, because here's the reality. Like no matter where you are, even if you're in a small town, within a 5-mile radius of where you're at right now, there's probably 1 or 2 girls that would be really like amazing girlfriend material. Maybe even more. Like if you're in a big city, there's going to be like tens of thousands that are like just within a 5-mile radius to you that are viable. And then from where you're sitting right now, from wherever you're listening to this call on, within 5 miles of you is someone that'll buy your product, somebody that'll collaborate on, content with you or whatever it is. Like everybody's around you. Like what you have is actually in your backyard. You don't need to be a passport bro. You don't have to go to Colombia. Like these people are here. Like they're around you. It's just a matter of like, how are you getting to them? How do you reach them? You can do the cold approaching, but like, who's leaving the house and taking the time to do that? You could use the apps, but then you're dealing with algorithms and all this different stuff. So why not do direct response marketing? So we just drop a pin within a 5-mile radius, maybe pick a couple different interests, right? Like entrepreneurs, if you want entrepreneurs, yoga girls, if you want yoga girls. And then depending on what you have around you or what you have access to, make a flyer that says rooftop party and, put in your city, rooftop party Charlotte, and just let that be seen by thousands of women around you. And then let them choose to opt into that just by sending you a message. Like the strategy it makes perfect sense. And here's the bad part, right? Here's the catch is you get all these messages and yes, they're going to be expecting a social opportunity. They're going to be expecting that you invite them to something fun that actually has other cool people. So yes, that means you have to plan something. Yes, this means that you have to invite people. You have to actually like create group chats with these people. You have to lead these people. Like you can't just get the DMs. And if you're one of the guys that's like, paying attention to my stuff or whatever, you can't just get the DMs and then bait and switch every girl that message you and try to just like get them onto a date.
Right.
Like you guys are trying to hack the fucking system and it's ridiculous. Like you're not willing to work hard. Like, and that's why you don't have the results that you want. Like you want these 10s, but you have the work ethic of a 4. So they're going to be expecting to be invited to something. But that's the premise of it. Like that's it. You just get a bunch of messages from people that are interested in a rooftop party near you. You just invite them all. And then through that process, date a couple of them or build up your circle, build up your proof, like build it out. Like the strategy is the long game.
Yeah.
And if you want to succeed with the right women, you have to play the long game. The more that you're short term, like, oh, like Raya, like it's just not gonna, it's no wonder you can't build a business to millions and millions of dollars. It's just,
well, I love what you say about delaying gratification, because the better I got, the more I started living by that. Even if I knew that I could probably get a date with a girl, the second I asked her on that date, now she knows I like her, right? Whereas if I invite her to an event, she doesn't know for sure I like her. She just knows that I want her to come to an event, right?
Yeah.
And what I notice is that if I just kept pushing off them knowing for sure that I like them and filled the environment with competition, other girls that were giving me signals, they would see all that and they would seek me out for sex, a relationship, and that put me in the driver's seat, and I could then dictate the terms of that relationship. Ultimately, I got to a place where I was like, I'm never going on a date again because fuck dates. Why would I do that, right? um, and I'm going to just have as much fun with my buddies and invite as many cool girls along as possible. So no matter what, I'm going to have a great time. I'm going to have beautiful girls around. I'm going to be doing cool stuff. Easy to post high value content on Instagram when that's your life. And it just became ridiculously easy. But it was out of that delay of gratification and knowing, okay, I could get a date, but I'm actually not going to, because the end result is a weak frame and a girl who effectively wears the pants in the relationship. And yeah, like you can't just expect to turn on an Instagram ad and have a girlfriend, right? She's gonna, like, she still knows that there's competition out there. What I love about your system is it's so simple that it really gets the hardest part. Cause like I've been harping on building a social circle forever. Right.
Yeah.
And guys get hung up on like, well, where do the invites come from? And
Right.
my answer is, well, you have to befriend cool guys and actually be willing to be friends with cute girls and not try to bang them all. Because if you're friends with them and there's a genuine connection, they will bring their girlfriends. And if it is something relatively cool, it doesn't have to be expensive or crazy. You could just go to the best place, like in your neighborhood or in your city, that's already high status, everyone goes to, and throw a little party within the party. And more people will come and you build it, and like business networking will come from that. All of the things that you want in life will come from that. But what I love about your method is it's so fast to be like, well, we can just run an ad to get these people. And obviously there's going to be drop-offs and a system that you have to take them to actually get them to show up. But that's also part of your offer, right? Where you're teaching guys how to sort of deal with the DMs that come in, how to get the right people to the events.
Yeah, of course. And so that'll be a conversation where I'll ask you some questions about the fulfillment side of the leads, because I make a lot of parallels with my clients about looking at building a social circle like a business.
Yeah.
And it's very similar, especially when we're actually using marketing where there really are metrics and KPIs. So the way I explain,
I love that, because I do the same thing. It's so easy to make the metaphor, or the analogy.
And it's true though. Like there's so many parallels. Like it's kind of almost the exact same thing. When it comes to receiving the inbound DMs from the ads, what I realize is that it's circumventing the entire approaching process.
Yeah.
Right. Like the ad itself is a mechanism that is doing talking and telling and selling for you in a frame that's high value because it's an event or a party that you're hosting. It's tied to your account. So that alone can be enough that would have gotten you through the first 5-10 minutes of like a cold approach. When you get the inbound DM, that's also circumventing like the match process. It's happening automated. This is happening while you're sleeping, while you're eating, and that's where it gets really crazy, is that we're going around the toughest part of dating, which is meeting new people, like finding new people, sourcing new people. We can do it with precision, right? And then we can not only do it with precision, but we can set it up so that the frame is them coming to us inbound. So when we were talking about the best case scenario for a guy is the girl walking up to him on the street inbound, like an inbound approach. That's what we, really discovered is like the key that we're focusing on is creating an inbound system.
Right.
But it's not just for no reason. Like it's, with the backbone of value, which is something that you're doing for your community. The way that I frame it, it's like a free service, because who's throwing free parties and advertising it, right? Like nobody.
Yeah.
You see ads on Instagram all the time. People are advertising for products, services, buy for this, pay for that. But you're coming out of your pocket, right? Like the ad spend for your campaign might be $50. It's actually kind of like a nice thing for you to do, to spend your own money to get people to come to a party. Like this is a service you're providing essentially. There's the whole fulfillment on that side of it where it is really like a business. And of course you're going to get women. And of course some of them are going to be really hot. And of course some of them are going to bring friends that are even hotter. And that's where all of the stuff that you talk about and the coaching, that's where it's really necessary, because we can set up an inbound marketing system where there's, the marketing side, and then there's, getting them to show up, kind of like the sales side. And then there's like the fulfillment side, which is how to keep your clients and how to ascend your clients and how to, make sure that they don't get pissed off and all of that different stuff.
Right.
And no, I mean, it's a lot of fun. And there's obviously a lot that goes into it. And I think the more fun topics on some of these subjects is like when you're at these parties, what to say, what to do, how to run it. And I think that's what you're like really, really masterful at, where I do fine, but in some senses I probably lack, because you've talked about games that you play and ways that you know, make it spicy, maybe a little bit sexual and stuff like that. So I don't know if you want to talk about any of that stuff.
Well, I'll tell a fun story about how I came across. This is my favorite sort of after party game. So I was in Germany in 2012 with my best friend / wingman. And we basically rented a car in Paris and did a lap around Europe, like Paris to Belgium, to Amsterdam, to Germany, to Budapest, to Croatia, south of France, back to Spain, like did a lap for like 2.5 months. And it was the kind of the beginning of the trip, you know, heading to Germany. And I was doing a bunch of day game and cold approach, and he was kind of being a bitch and just taking a lot of work calls and not really doing it. One night, we got into Dusseldorf, and I'm like, yo, let's go out. Let's check out Dusseldorf. He's like, dude, it's like a Tuesday. I'm just going to like work. So I went down to like the main area in Dusseldorf, and there's a bunch of like bars and restaurants, and there was I think the World Cup was on, and the bars were packed. And I remember just kind of like walking into a bar. All of a sudden, there was like this group. It was like 11 Germans, 6 girls, 5 guys. And I just started chatting with one of the guys. And before I knew it, he was like, hey, will you play this game with us? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So all 11 of them were standing around like a table. It was like a high table. There was a bucket of ice and a bottle of, you know, alcohol in the middle. I think it was like Captain Morgan or something. And one of the guys was like, ready, set, go. And all of the guys pulled a piece of ice out of the bucket, put it in his mouth, and he passed it to the left. And the way that the game was set up, it was girl, guy, girl, guy, girl, guy. So they needed one more guy, and I was the 6th guy. So all of a sudden, like the girl who was like one away from me, because I didn't know what I was doing, so I didn't grab the ice, but she just like turns to me, and I get the ice from her mouth. Right? You can't use your hands. So she basically, you know, puts it in my mouth with her mouth, and then I pass it to this girl, and it goes around. And if the ice melts, that person has to take a shot. Or if the ice drops, you have to take a shot. And then after like a minute or two, the guy was like, rotate. And then all the guys like went the next. So within the spirit, within 5 minutes, I'd made out with all 6 of the girls, and some of them were in relationships with some of the guys. Some of them are single. I went home to my, went back to the hotel me and my buddy were staying at, and he's like, how was your night? I'm like, oh, I made out with 6 German girls. How was yours? So when he was so pissed to realize that he missed what I call the ice game. But we spent the next month and a half like cruising around Europe, getting people to play this ice game with us. And it's so easy to get people to play that, because it's like they don't even know what's happening. And all of a sudden they're being passed ice. And what happens, of course, the girls who aren't into you, they'll just pass you the ice really quickly. But the ones who are, you know, they'll get some tongue action there. They'll let it linger. And it's all like, it's a sleazy as fuck game, but it's not sleazy because we're just passing ice, right? So I use that as an example of one of the sort of like fun after party things you can do. And the girls who won't want to play, they'll be like, whatever, this is gross. But you'll be surprised. Girls want to play these games.
Dude, that's fucking hilarious.
And it gets the party started.
I love that. I love that.
So.
Well, do you have like, you're going to have to give me like special access to one of your backend modules that has how to set that up, because I got to try it. And I know I'm going to fuck it up when I go to attempt to do it. Be like, okay, guys, like new game.
Well, the trick is you just like, you can, what I usually do, it's just like, I tell one other friend that we're going to do it, and then we just do it. And it's just a frame thing. If you just do it, like everyone else will just do it with you. Even like there's the social pressure of the girls who even don't want to do it. They'll still just do it, you know? So obviously it's
innocent enough to, yeah.
And you don't really explain the rules. Like the way I explain the rules, like I get the bottle of booze, I get the bucket of ice, I have people line up, right? So we line them up and like, okay, if the ice falls down, you drink, and you can't use your hands to pass the ice. Ready, set, go. So they're like, what? I don't even know the rules. But then I've got the ice and I pass it, and I make sure the girl next to me is somebody who's not going to like reject the passive ice, and then like pass it along. And it's fine if it's like girl, you just don't want to have like two guys next to each other because they're not going to pass the ice most likely. So,
Well, and dude, that game is genius, man, for a lot of different reasons, because like not only does it like spice it up and like it breaks kind of some of that like touch barrier and stuff, which is really important for attraction and escalation and all that stuff later on, but not a lot of guys get that experience, man. Like not a lot of guys get that social experience where maybe you're a little bit nervous, like kind of like your heart is beating a little bit fast because like it's fun and it's exciting and you have to be able to hold the tension. And if I think that's important, you know, even having that experience, like you said, maybe it's kind of raunchy, maybe it's a little like risque, and there's some guys that are listening and they're like, I just want to find my wife, I just want to get to the one, and I don't want to play these games, I don't want to be that dirtbag or that douchebag. And the reality is that you have to have a little bit of that somewhere in you. Like you have to have some of that edge. You have to be the guy that at some point in time was able to handle the pressures of that type of situation, at least to some degree, even in just like in a small amount, you know. Like you don't have to be that guy forever. And like for me, I love those games. Like I'll probably play those games for like too long into my life.
right.
You know, find a girlfriend that loves to play it even in a relationship type of thing.
Yeah.
But for guys that don't want to do that, like I think that's a mistake. I think that if you didn't try it at least once, then you have an Achilles heel. What do you think about that?
I agree. Like every girl understands that within every guy, there's, call it an old dirty man, or like you know, the devil emoji, right? There's a hornball in there. There's a dirty dog. Mm-hmm. And if you don't own that, and if you pretend like you're above that, or you're, you know, too good for that, or you're not that guy, you're more sophisticated, they're gonna know you're full of shit. And that's gonna cause a little bit of, maybe a lot of bit of problems down the road in your relationship. Like if you're unwilling to own your sexuality and own like, yeah, why wouldn't I want to make out with 6 hot girls? I'm a single guy, right? I've got a dick and it has a mind of its own. I'm the same as every other, you know, the other 4 billion guys on the planet, right? Like if you can't own that, you know, you're full of shit. And women understand that. And like, they might look at me. My wife's a perfect example. Like before I met her, she understood that she thought I was a total sleazeball because of what people had said about me, you know, because they'd been to my parties, and the games get a lot more raunchy than that. And then there's some others that are way less raunchy. Like, you know, there's Jenga where you write on the blocks and it might say like, you know, give a hug to the person next to you, or kiss the person next to you, or trade shirts with the person next to you. You know, you're pulling a Jenga block and there's got instructions on there, right? Yeah. And maybe one of the blocks or a few of the blocks have like a black dot on the end where, you know, if you pull one of those, it's something a little bit more risque. Right? So I've got like 2 different sets of Jenga blocks. Like one is like the, you know, PG-13, and then maybe one is like the X-rated one that you might want to bust out if it's like a really, you know, sexual crowd, and it's you know, give a blowjob to fruit, or make the girl squirt next to you, or like who knows, right? So obviously that's more of like the sex party Jenga, you could say. My wife like thought I was a sleazeball. Her friend is the one who's like, you got to come meet Robbie. He's really cool. He's never tried to like hook up with me because I had friend zoned her on purpose. It's whatever you've heard isn't true. Just come meet him. And she's like, no, it's true. You'll see. I'll show you. And then she came over, and of course that was, you know, now we're married. But like, even if you have maybe a little bit of a negative reputation, they say any press is good press. These games, like you said, it's just like, it's a way to have fun and enjoy. And yeah, you're not going to bust that out in the first hour of a party. But, you know, there's a bunch of people lingering, and they're, you know, the night is getting boring. And most after parties, like, it's just people standing around talking or smoking. Like, you want to do something that gets the crowd involved and creates a little bit of tension and fun. So that's kind of at the crux of what I found to be the most interesting, just for me socially, right? Like after I spent a ton of time dating, I was like, well, it's way more fun to host a party. And the status you get from hosting a party allows you to build your circle and meet cool guys. And so I just kind of took this party hosting thing to like the furthest possible level, because I also knew it was going to allow me to connect with the coolest girls and the coolest guys. Because like, you don't want to, you know, like in Japan, for example, like before a business deal is done, they go golfing, and they do not discuss anything in the first, round of golf. It's 5 hours, 6 hours. You play 9 holes, you go to lunch, then you play the back 9. No business is allowed to be discussed. But what happens in 5 or 6 hours on the golf course, you see the person's true nature. They're pissed off or they're happy or whatever. Like everything happens at a round of golf. And it's the same with dating. Like you don't want to go into it being like, okay, tell me about your life and blah, 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 like any boring first date, right? You want to like get to know the person in real life and then see, okay, maybe there's a spark, maybe there's some chemistry here. That's the organic way to do it, Yeah. And what I love about your system is you're just basically allowing for those connections to happen a lot faster than the grassroots style way of getting people to come to an event, which, takes a lot longer if you're not doing direct response.
Yeah, for sure, man. No, and we've got guys in the group that are taking it in a direction that I'd never even considered, like hiking parties, some really wholesome stuff that starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. The idea here is that you can create a community around anything. And odds are there's people that are exactly the same as you that are similar age, similar interest, similar height, similar everything, and are probably wondering the same thing. Where's my tribe? Where's my group that has a like-minded aspirations and wants to do the same activities? The ad coming across their Instagram for exactly whatever that thing is, whether it's, hiking social or rooftop party for young professionals, for the people that see it and actually respond, I mean, you got to imagine like it's what they've been waiting on.
Yeah.
It's what they've been waiting to see. So, like quality wise, we can talk about that too. I will say this, like with the ads, it's obviously, there's a big, it's advertising, you're advertising to a cold audience. It's a mixed bag. There's just going to be this, this standard distribution. I'd say where the standard distribution of quality lies, like from a female perspective, is slightly above what you would just get if you had like a really good dating app, right? But it's not about that. Like everybody wants, and there's ways to hack it so that you can just get 9s and 10s if you put out an ad with something to do with modeling, for example, or if you have something to do with, photography, photo shoots, like there's ways to hack it to get models replying to your advertisements. But for the average guy, when you're doing the hiking social thing, like you might get a couple 9s, maybe one out of 30, 40 messages, right? It's like, it's not even about trying to just get that immediate result. Like first build it up first, like do the first couple with some regular people, just make some friendships first, like build out a core circle and then complain to me after, you've got this badass core circle that we need to up the quality. We'll figure that piece out.
Right.
A lot of the time it's just going to be through like social proofing yourself and your inner vibe and your aura, and just like your frequency will raise, and then like kind of almost magically higher quality women start like showing up just into your life. So really, I mean, the ads, like it's not a gimmick. It's a real way to like very quickly connect with people that are on the same, really on the same level as you are, because like what you're thinking is what you're going to put out there, and what you're, what we're going to be doing is what level you're on. That's why my ad is going to be different from the next guy's ad.
Yeah.
Because my ad, it can be yacht party with, ice game makeout, right? Like most guys just, they don't have the yacht yet, like they're not on that level. So my ad is going to hit harder than theirs. Some guy just has nothing, like he doesn't have anything. You probably got to find a patio or a rooftop somewhere,
Or what I love, the hiking party or acro yoga party or like
anything,
ping pong party, right? It's like a golf event, like whatever the fuck you're interested in, you could have a little event for that. And chess, right? Like people want to go and do cool things. And I feel like there are specific sites that like advertise, like meetup.com, maybe Eventbrite, those sorts of things that kind of advertise for events, but everyone kind of knows like those things suck. Like nobody goes there except for like guys trying to get laid, and it's a bad crop. And girls would never, like hot girls get invited to things and they don't really have to look for things a lot of the time. But that's the beauty of an Instagram ad, is they're going to see it. You're targeting them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you're targeting them. You can be more niche specific. You can have a sexier advertisement. I mean, that's the main thing that I do is like I create the advertisements, and so it's done for them. Like I don't let them for the most part try to create their own just because like they're really shitty at it.
Yeah.
They haven't been in sales and marketing for the last, 10 years like I have. They just don't have the creative eye. Like it's just reality. And there's a difference between attending an event that somebody else is hosting and actually being the administrator of your own event.
Right.
So that's a pretty key distinction is like, anytime you're going to somebody else's party, you're kind of almost like transferring status to the host of that party.
Right.
So if you can step into that leadership role, you're going to get more benefits. So yeah, I mean, go to meetup events, go ahead and go to networking events and use your social skills to collect as many leads as possible at these places and then invite them to your own event. Right. Because at the end of the day, if you're not the one that's like offering the invitation, you're not really the one that's like offering the value, so to speak. Like you can invite people to other people's events. Like there's a lot that goes into this, but like if you're a guy that goes to a lot of different things, but you don't do your own, yeah, like once a month you need to have an invite that is yours, that is, custom to where you like to be, where, who you want to be around, what you want to talk about, what you want to make it about. Mm-hmm. And it's fulfilling too. I mean, it goes beyond dating.
For sure. And I want to make a parallel too between the last conversation you and I had where you kind of called me out about me not running ads for my business. Funny enough.
Yeah.
And you were like, dude, have a conversation with my buddy. He does this. This is his specific thing, right? He will help you craft, the offer and the ad and the
unique angle and all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And for the longest time, I had been procrastinating on that because what am I doing every day? I'm like optimizing, for my clients. I'm in there helping them like organize their events, helping them like follow up with the people, like doing the nitty gritty, like telling them this girl's interested, this one's giving red flags, like all of the stuff, all the coaching, right? And I'm so focused on that. Sometimes it's hard to even understand what the offer is. And I love that's effectively what you're kind of doing for people. It's like you only have so much time to be good at a thing, right? So if you're working on like leveling up and becoming a higher value guy, better conversation skills, better hosting, better presence, better flirting, right? Like it's time consuming, it's a body of work. It is a skill set and it takes time. And if you're trying to sit there, like come up with the perfect ad and like do this or do that, that's time that you could be optimizing in a different way. And it might not be the thing that you're kind of cut out for. And that's what I love about your service as well. It's done for you, right? You're like, I'll do it for you. Here's the sort of stuff to follow up with. And then you can focus on making sure the event is good, making sure that, people have a good time, and then everything, all the social skills that kind of go into it. And so that's why like it's a great offer, because I feel like for somebody like me, right, I don't want to be doing that, where there's somebody who like you, who's just like, I like that. I'm good at that. I'm going to just do that for you.
Yeah. And it's become like my community and my offer has become extremely, narrowly focused on the ads thing, just because that's what's working with the social circle strategy. And what has kind of been sacrificed a little bit is some of the coaching that I used to try my best to do with the games thing at the parties and the social skills and the frame and masculinity. And I was even talking about fitness for a little while and looks maxing and all that different stuff. And, I'll admit that I'm to a point now where like this ad system, it's so specific. It's so dialed in. It's just so designed for a guy that it is just like so aware of what's happening with dating and wants to improve dating and like sees just like what he needs to do in terms of throwing parties and wants to do it fast. Like that requires someone that's kind of been on this journey for a while.
Yeah.
So I would say that my offer, it's, for a guy that has no experience, you've never heard of any of this stuff. This is all brand new information to you. This whole space is just like, you just woke up, you're born yesterday, basically. Mm-hmm. You're going to be better off with my program than without my program. But I'd say, for guys that really want to get good at probably like, I don't know, pulling out Jenga and making the girl squirt or whatever the fuck that part was. There's coaches that are better than me at some of that different stuff, man. I haven't played that game myself, there's levels to this type of thing. And I feel like the level that I've maximized on is just like basically recruiting for parties, I've got that down.
Yeah.
And that's what guys should be doing, is recruiting for parties. And then for further guidance on your opening and cold approaching, that stuff's important. Like, go to other people. I tell them all the time, like, just go elsewhere, man.
Yeah, I agree. It's there's a lot of good systems out there for, some guys like the London day game system, for example, or I've had St. Robert on my podcast many times. He's very specific. Like, if you want to get good at day game, see him, right? Like, that is his thing. And, for me, it's like, if you want to get really good at managing your social circle and building that up and dating the hottest girls, that was always my thing. I was just like, I see all these other dating coaches. I'm like, they never show their girls, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, do they have girls? Are they just marketers?
Yeah.
And then I realized at the end, they're just marketers. I had the most annoying but best wingman you could have, who's the guy who was always like, you could do better. Your girl's not that hot. You're settling.
Yeah.
I surrounded myself with a few of these guys. Some of them were club promoters, and it was just always a competition to see who could get the hottest girls. And in kind of like being in that competitive space for so many years, I realized that the hottest girls, they think a little bit differently. They operate a little bit differently. So that's kind of who I tend to attract into my thing. It's guys who are like, yeah, okay, I could get a 6 or 7, but I want a 9 or a 10. And they understand that you're not going to get the 9 or a 10 through cold approach. You're not going to get her through dating apps, right? You have to be the king of your domain to get that girl.
Yeah.
And it's going to take long game, and it's going to take hard work, but it's, I think it's the most fun game you could play besides golf. So
yeah. And like, I tell my guys all the time, I'm like, man, you guys are lucky that there's somebody like me out there that's like so obsessed with this and just sees it as so much fun and is just so fanatically obsessed about dialing this in. Because for me, it's like, what is more important than your relationships and who you end up marrying and who you're best friends with and business connections and building your empire? Like, that's what this is about, right? The whole running ads, throwing parties thing, most guys go out just to get drunk.
Right.
Most guys socialize on Friday night, Saturday night, just for escapism, to blow some steam off from their fucking 9 to 5. And that was me for a long time. I mean, I had my fair share of just dumb times when I was in my 20s, for sure.
Yeah.
Bottle service at the nightclub, underrated networking opportunity. Throwing a house party, underrated dating opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Putting together a rooftop party on Friday night. Can you get drunk? Yes. I'm not sober. Like, I'm not one of these, you got to be perfect type of guys. You can drink, go ahead. Well, obviously everything is in balance. We can have that conversation later.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't like escape. This isn't just for fun. Like, this to me, it's like a hobby. I don't even know. Like, it's more than a hobby. Like, I really do run it like a business. And now I legitimately run it like a business, which is kind of like meta, like Inception.
Yeah.
But for guys like that are thinking about building social circles, that maybe even have girlfriends, or wives. I've got clients that are married. I've got clients that have girlfriends. You got to keep her attracted. That's one thing.
Yeah.
You got to keep your money coming in. That's another. You got to stay leveling up, because like I said, everything is happening later now, because it's just the world is just becoming more. There's more opportunity than ever, and time is either on your side or against your side. Time is the accelerator here. So like it's accelerating upwards for you, or it's accelerating downwards for you. That's going for your money, your health, and your dating, all of it. So why not try to, just synergistically do as much as you can all at once. And, if you want to go approach girls on the street, let me know how it went, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll be at a party somewhere. So,
yeah.
I think there's a very specific guy that is going to get the most value out of your offer. And I think it's a guy who, he's already relatively successful. He's a cool dude. He can, he may not feel like he's the king of, hosting a party or anything yet, but he'll get there. He doesn't really have the time to do a ton of cold approach or, waste time on the dating apps. And it's worth it for him to have these sort of inbound leads. Would you say that's the best sort of archetype of the guys that could benefit the most from?
I'd say the guys that are doing the best, that I'm working with right now, have experience with hosting events even.
Okay.
They know the value of putting together a party. They've been in that scenario before.
Gotcha.
They just are, they know that their value is going up and they have, limited time left. They want to, maximize their SMV, and they want the big guns, the right system that is really just going to like pour the rocket fuel on it and blow the roof off of it. Basically, if you're a guy that, is doing well and you're looking for a way to do what we're talking about here with dating and networking in, what I believe to be the most effective and efficient and powerful manner possible. If you have experience with social skills and event hosting, like this will be not just a game changer for you, but I mean potentially the most, powerful thing you've engaged in for a long time.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
for sure. So yeah, help with the lead gen, go to Brian. I'm going to kind of bake it into anyone, if you see this podcast and you're considering like joining my program and getting help with, building the social circle, getting the hottest girls, I'm going to bake in your offer, be like, well, we're also going to do the Instagram strategy and we're going to have Brian do that. Cause like, why the fuck would we, like, I don't know it, he doesn't know it. Right. So I feel like that would be the fastest way to success in this area for somebody who doesn't want to do it alone and try to piece it all together, right? They want to save their time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I can use your help as well. Like I said, for when guys are successfully getting parties together, how do they make the parties better?
Yeah.
How do they take it to, super high levels like you've talked about with your stuff, because I can only imagine with the levels that you've gone with your stuff. I mean, if you were running ads or if we had met at that time and we ran an ad together, I mean, who the fuck knows what would have happened then? So.
Right. And and just one thing for anyone listening, like maybe you're listening to that and you hear like the ice game, you're like, kind of what you said, like, oh, that seems weird. It's like, you don't have to do that shit either. There's certain levels that different parties have, like some parties are going to be a different sort of maybe festival crowd who are dabbling in other substances, right? And the ice game's not quite the right vibe, but maybe there's a different sort of vibe that's too illegal to talk about, right? That that is right. But like you, with experience, you start to know like, okay, here's my audience. How can I get them to have more fun? And how can I orchestrate this whole thing? You're kind of like the puppet master. If you're the MC on a cruise ship, right? The MC's job is he walks around during the day and he shakes a lot of hands, talks to a lot of people, gets them to come to the evening thing. And then once they're at the evening thing, he's introducing the other entertainment and getting everyone to have a good time. At the end of the day, who gets more, high quality options than the MC on the boat? Nobody. He's the king of that cruise ship, And so that's kind of the idea of what you're going for. And, the games are a tool that can be utilized very effectively for that. So
yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, man. You got to let me into that master class, man. I got to watch that training.
For sure, brother. The truth, spin the bottle, truth or dare is the wildest one. It's like, the people well enough because you've seen them sort of participate in other games. And you're like, okay, I know what this girl is likely to say yes to. So I'm going to orchestrate a specific dare for her, or a little game that she's going to get to play with the guy that I know likes her and she likes him. And I'm going to get them to hook up. So at the end of the day, awesome. You're kind of playing Cupid, both for yourself and for everyone else. And people just keep coming back to your party. So they're like, every time I go to Robbie's party, what's that?
Yeah, that's fucking powerful shit, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very fun. So anyways, where can people go to find you? Obviously it'll be in the show notes or whatever.
New City Mastery Instagram, New City Mastery YouTube. That's it. I mean, I've got a website, brianmarquesano.com, but my last name is hard to spell. So just just look up New City Mastery, mostly on Instagram.
Cool. And if people sign up, they'll get a discount if they say Robbie or they know they're coming from me. So
yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Perfect. This has been cool. I love where we've dabbled in so many different areas of social dynamics here. So
I know, man. Yeah, another good talk.
Cool, brother.
Out of all the guys I know, the only ones who managed to consistently win the game are those who built and invested in a high status social circle. You can certainly approach women and try your luck on the apps if you're a Chad, but those strategies simply don't work consistently to attract top tier women and awesome friends into your life. But for most guys, the idea of building a social circle can feel overwhelming, so they continue to hunt for women in their usual ways and end up settling for a girl they were never really that excited about in the first place. To avoid this fate, join our community and instantly plug into a highly vetted social circle of cool dudes to network and navigate your journey with. You already know it's hard to find wingmen because the good ones don't stay in the game very long. Many of our members travel together, end up living together, build amazing circles, and even businesses together, both in the West and in many of the best locations around the globe with gorgeous women and low cost of living. I'm extremely careful who I let into this community, but if you feel like you'd make a good fit, you can apply to join. The link's in the description.